Good evening, students. In the last session, we have seen the projections of planes with the condition that a plane is inclined to HP and perpendicular to VP. In this session, we will see a plane which is inclined to VP but perpendicular to HP. Let us consider the problem number 10.13. A hexagonal plane of side 30 mm has an edge in the VP. The surface of the plane is inclined at 45 degree to the VP and perpendicular to the HP. Draw its projections. In the last session, the surface of a plane is inclined to HP, but the surface is perpendicular to VP. That is what we saw. Now in this class, the plane is inclined to VP but perpendicular to HP. The very important thing which you should know in the case of projections of planes is, if a plane is resting on one of its edge or corner in the HP and the surface is inclined to HP, means we should always draw the top view. That means the drawing should be started from the below the XY line. The drawing should always be started below the XY line, means you should always draw the top view when it is resting on HP and it is inclined to HP. That is, the surface will be perpendicular to VP. Whereas in this case, the second case, the surface is perpendicular to HP but it is inclined to VP. In this case, whenever the surface is inclined to VP and perpendicular to HP, the surface should be always drawn above the XY line, that is in the front view. If the surface is inclined to VP and perpendicular to HP, means it should be always drawn above the XY line. Okay. Now for this case, a hexagonal plane of side 30 mm has to be drawn first. The first position, we have to draw the normal hexagonal plane with side of 30 mm, the front view and the top view. Then the top view should be inclined at an angle of 45 degree to the VP, and then it has to be projected to for the final position. Okay, to get the final position. Now we will see how to do it. First thing is, I am drawing this XY line, marking that VP and HP. The next step is I should draw an hexagon which is having a side of 30 mm. Please understand, I am drawing the hexagon in such a way that in the left hand side it should be a straight line. Why? Because I am going to incline this hexagonal plane. I am going to incline this hexagonal plane from the wall. Could you understand that? From the wall. Okay, assume that the wall is a vertical plane. From the wall, now we have drawn this hexagonal plane which is attached with the wall right now. So I am going to incline this hexagonal plane from the wall. This edge I have to pull it. Okay, so for that case, there should be one edge should be resting on vertical side, means that is in the front view, that is in the wall, that is the vertical plane. So for that, I am drawing this left hand side as a straight line. Okay, once if I have drawn this hexagonal plane, I should mark the notations. I am marking all the notations as A, B, C, D, E, F, A, B, C, D, E, F with dashes. The reason behind it is all the front view should always be marked with dashes. Okay, once if it is marked, then we should go for projecting all these corners towards the top view. That is, it should cross the XY line a little bit. So I am projecting this A dash F dash line, B dash E dash, C dash D dash. All these corners have been projected. Now I should mark all these corners in the top view. So I will be marking it as D, E, F first, because from the top view, this D dash, E dash, F dash will be visible, whereas A dash, B dash, C dash will not be visible. So those A dash, B dash, C dash should be marked in brackets. In the top view, we don't mark it with dashes, we will always mark it without dashes. That is the difference which we want to show it in the diagram. If it is marked with dashes, that is front view. If it is marked without dashes, that is our top view. Now this FED has been marked. Now we can go for a thick line. FED should be marked as a thick line, because if you look at this hexagonal plane from the top view, it will be like a single line. So we have to draw that thick line FED. Okay. Now in the question they told the plane is inclined at an angle of 45 degree to the VP and perpendicular to the HP. Okay, inclined at an angle of 45 degree to the VP means this FD line should be inclined at an angle of 45 degree from XY. For that, we should draw a 45 degree line from XY towards downward direction. Correct? So I have drawn a line at an angle of 45 degree. Now in that, I have to mark this FDE by using compass. The first point I can mark it directly at the base of this 45 degree line with F, and then the D point should be marked by measuring this F to D using the compass, and we have to put an arc from this F in the 45 degree line. Then we should mark it as D. Similarly, we have to measure from F to E what is the distance. Keep the compass at F here in the 45 degree line and put an arc and mark it as E. After marking this FED, we should also mark this ABC in brackets. Once all these notations have been marked, these corners or these points should be projected towards the front view. Before that, I will mark this FED as a thick line. Now all these particular corners should be projected towards the front view. Similarly, in the front view, from the hexagonal plane, we should project all the corners A dash, B dash, C dash up to F dash towards the second position. Once if you project all these lines, wherever this A line and this A dash line meets, we should mark this particular point and we should give the notation as A dash. Okay. Similarly, this B dash line and B, wherever it meets, we should mark it as again B dash. Similarly, we can go for C dash, D dash, E dash, and F dash. Now, after marking all these notations, A dash, B dash, C dash, up to F dash, then if you connect this A dash to B dash to C dash, C dash to D dash, like that, if you continue it up to F dash, finally F dash to A dash, we can get an hexagon. But there is a difference between the first position hexagon and the second position hexagon. The first position hexagon is a hexagonal plate which is just resting on the VP, attached on the VP, that's all. Now the second position hexagon is inclined at an angle of 45 degree, which resembles like the hexagon is slightly compressed. Now you can find the difference. I can show you the difference by adding some colors on it. Now you can find there is a difference in the area, got it? So this is our final position of hexagonal plane. After doing it, you should write scale 1:1, all dimensions are in millimeter, and the most important thing is the dimension of this hexagonal plane. Any one side, you should mention the dimension 30 mm. For an example, A dash to F dash, what is the distance? Means 30 mm is the side. That's all. Thank you very much. This is projections of planes, which is a plane is inclined at certain angle with VP and perpendicular to HP.